The silence in the courtroom was palpable. The judge's gavel struck with a force that shattered Alex Stone's world. Guilty. As a decorated officer with 15 years of service, Alex sat there in handcuffs, his eyes fixed on the floor. Despite his consistent assertions of innocence, the jury had found him guilty. The evidence, which he was convinced had been planted, proved sufficient for his conviction. However, it wasn't the severity of his sentence that pained him the most. It was the heartache of having to leave Max, his faithful canine partner, behind. Max was positioned near the back of the courtroom, his keen eyes fixed on Alex. The German Shepherd was more than just a work partner. He had been Alex's steadfast ally through numerous perilous situations. Now, as Alex grappled with the darkest moment of his life, the thought of never seeing Max again was excruciating. When the judge stood to depart, Alex's voice shattered the tense silence. "Your Honor," he began, his voice breaking, "before I'm taken away, may I have one last request? Please let me say goodbye to Max." A murmur of surprise rippled through the courtroom. The judge paused, observing Alex intently. After a lengthy pause, he nodded, his tone firm yet compassionate. 3 minutes, he allowed. At his release, Max dashed toward Alex, his nails clicking sharply against the floor. Alex sank to his knees and enveloped Max in a tight hug. "I'm so sorry, buddy," he murmured, tears cascading down his cheeks. "I failed you. I can't be there for you anymore." Max whimpered, pressing his face into Alex's chest. Suddenly, Max stiffened, his nose frantically sniffing at Alex's jacket. He started tugging at the fabric, barking loudly. His abrupt bark pierced the solemn silence, capturing the attention of everyone in the room. "What's the dog doing?" inquired the judge, his brow furrowing. Max tugged more vigorously, his barks resounding through the courtroom. An officer approached cautiously and began examining Alex's jacket. The air was thick with tension. Suddenly, a small object clattered to the floor with a metallic clink. A recording device. The color drained from the prosecutor's face as he stepped forward, his voice trembling. "This doesn't prove anything," he asserted, trying to reclaim the moment's control. But Max barked once more, his posture resolute. It was evident. The contents of that device were significant. Alex's eyes locked onto the tiny recorder, his heart racing. For the first time in weeks, a spark of hope ignited. Could this be the evidence he had been desperate for? Reflect on the profound connection between Alex and Max. Picture the unfolding drama. If you're eager to discover what's recorded and how it might alter everything, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The next exciting chapter is just beginning. The courtroom was engulfed in a shocked hush. The small recording device lay at the center of the room, its metallic surface reflecting the stark fluorescent lights above. Max stood tense beside Alex, his insistent barks slicing through the silence, as if to urge those present to take notice. Every pair of eyes was riveted on the device, the atmosphere dense with anticipation. "Pick it up," commanded the judge, his tone low yet authoritative. The officer nearest to the device paused momentarily before stooping to retrieve it. He lifted it, displaying it before the gathered crowd, his expression one of bewildered concern. "What is this?" the judge demanded, his sharp gaze turning to the prosecutor, whose forehead was already beaded with sweat. The prosecutor swallowed hard, his complexion turning ashen. "Your Honor, this has no relevance. It wasn't included in the evidence presented during the trial," he stuttered. "It's been manipulated, without a doubt." "Manipulated?" the judge cut in, his brow furrowing deeply. His voice sharpened, echoing throughout the courtroom now heavy with tension, causing the prosecutor to recoil. "Officer, play the recording." The officer's hands shook as he handled the small recorder, his fingers fumbling before finally pressing play. A burst of static hissed through the courtroom, followed by indistinct voices. The audience leaned in closer, ears straining. Suddenly, a harsh, unmistakable voice broke through. "Just plant the evidence. No one will doubt it. Stone's impeccable record makes him an ideal fall guy. Just do it." Gasps filled the air. Alex's heart skipped a beat, then raced uncontrollably. That voice, it was unmistakably that of someone he once trusted deeply, his ex-supervisor, Captain John Parker. "That's enough," the prosecutor exclaimed, lunging toward the officer with the recorder. But the judge's gavel crashed down. "Sit down," he commanded, his voice so authoritative that the prosecutor halted instantly. Alex was stunned by the recording's revelations, the planted evidence, his own framing. Beside him, Max, ever calm, emitted a low growl, mirroring Alex's internal outrage. The judge reclined, his face shadowed with gravity. "This trial is not concluded," he declared sternly to the courtroom. "Bailiffs, take the defendant back to holding. Officers, secure this recording as new evidence. We are reopening this investigation." For the first time in weeks, a glimmer of hope ignited within Alex as he was escorted away. Max's gaze followed him, his eyes radiating steadfast loyalty. Alex glanced back at his partner, vowing silently to both himself and Max that he would not let this injustice prevail. Seated on the stiff bench of his stark holding cell, Alex gazed at the bare concrete wall, his thoughts swirling with the events that had just unfolded. Max's keen senses had unearthed what no one else could: evidence of a conspiracy. That recording was his lifeline. Yet the discovery was bittersweet. It was also a deep betrayal. Captain John Parker, the mentor he had revered for years, was the orchestrator. Alex's fists clenched, his jaw set firmly. How extensive was this deceit? How far did it reach? Meanwhile, in the seclusion of his chambers, the judge faced mounting tension. Seated at his desk, he replayed the recording on a secure device. The voices were clear. Captain Parker's authoritative tone, alongside another unfamiliar voice, unveiled a deliberate plot. Narrowing his eyes, the judge reached for his intercom button. "Bring Captain Parker to my office at once," he demanded sharply. Captain Parker had been stationed outside the courtroom, monitoring to ensure the sentencing of Alex proceeded without a hitch, or at least according to his own designs. However, when the bailiff relayed the judge's unexpected request, Parker's composure slipped momentarily. He stood up with a slight rigidity, straightened his tie, and walked with the officer along the corridor. Upon entering the judge's private chambers, Parker was met with a gaze that gave nothing away. He nodded politely, although his posture remained stiff. "Did you summon me, Your Honor?" Parker inquired, maintaining a calm demeanor, although his gaze darted anxiously towards the recorder on the desk. "Yes, I did," the judge said, leaning forward and tapping the recorder lightly. "Would you mind explaining what this is about?" A brief moment of vulnerability showed on Parker's face before he regained his composure, feigning bewilderment. "I'm unsure what you're referring to, Your Honor," he responded calmly. The judge hit play again, and the incriminating words echoed through the chamber. Parker paled momentarily but quickly composed himself. "Your Honor, this is preposterous," Parker remarked, letting out a forced laugh. "That could be anyone's voice. You surely can't believe—" "I don't believe," the judge cut him off sharply. "I rely on evidence, and this," he motioned towards the recorder, "is tangible evidence of not just one, but multiple illegal acts." Before Parker could say another word, two bailiffs entered the room. A look of panic crossed his face as they drew near. "What is this about?" Parker exclaimed, his tone escalating. "You are being held for questioning," the judge declared sternly. "You remain a suspect in obstructing justice and tampering with evidence until further investigation." As the bailiffs escorted a resistant Parker away, the judge sank back into his chair with a deep sigh. The tangled web of deceit was quickly coming undone, and Alex Stone's ordeal was still unfolding. The emergence of the recording had plunged the entire department into chaos. As Captain Parker was detained, rumors of corruption flared up among the officers. In his cell, Alex was oblivious to the chaos outside. His mind was on Max, the loyal K-9 who had discovered the recording device. Now, Alex wondered what else Max might uncover. Meanwhile, Max was taken to the department's K-9 unit for a checkup. Officer Anna Lee, a close associate of Alex's, had agreed to care for Max while the investigation continued. The dog appeared uneasy, pacing back and forth in his kennel and occasionally issuing sharp barks that pierced the quiet of the building. "He senses something is off," Anna whispered, observing him from outside the kennel. She squatted down, meeting Max's gaze. "Hang in there, buddy. We'll sort this out." Standing back up, Anna's attention was drawn to Max's nose, pressed firmly against the gate, intensely sniffing her jacket. A wave of unease washed over her. Was this behavior related to Alex's case, or was it just her nerves playing tricks on her? After a brief pause, she unlatched the kennel door. "Okay, boy," she said, securing Max's leash. "Let's find out what you're trying to show us." Anna led Max to Alex's locker in the department's storage room. The dog started sniffing and pawing at the bottom compartment as soon as they arrived. Heart pounding, Anna unlocked and opened the locker. Beneath some folded uniforms, she discovered a small, unmarked envelope. Her hands shook as she extracted it and peeled it open. Inside, grainy but incriminating photos depicted Captain Parker in clandestine meetings with a notorious criminal. A document concealed behind the photos detailed transactions implicating Parker in a bribery scheme connected to Alex's arrest. Staring at the evidence, Anna felt her chest constrict. "Max," she murmured, her voice cracking, "you've just found the smoking gun." Realizing the significance of her discovery, Anna swiftly reached out to the judge's office. The photos and documents, together with the recording unearthed by Max, clearly demonstrated Parker's involvement. Yet, Anna sensed the unraveling was just beginning. If Parker was behind this plot, he probably wasn't acting alone. Max sat loyally beside her, his calm presence anchoring her as her thoughts raced. "Alex was right," she spoke gently, stroking Max behind his ears. "You really are the best partner anyone could have." In the evidence room, Anna sat with the damning photos arrayed before her, feeling the immense weight of her discovery. Captain Parker was not merely a corrupt figure, he was entangled in a far-reaching scandal. The documents Max had found sketched a network involving other high-ranking officials, unaccountable payments, and an extensive scheme of manipulation stretching well beyond Alex's case. She looked down at Max, who sat alertly beside her, his keen eyes reflecting her tension. "This goes beyond just Alex," she whispered, the realization dawning on her. "It's much deeper." Grasping the gravity of the situation, Anna didn't hesitate to call the judge directly. Within the hour, the evidence was laid out before him. As he sifted through the documents and photos, his expression grew grim. "This is more extensive than I anticipated," he acknowledged, the weight in his voice unmistakable. "If these documents hold true, Alex Stone isn't merely innocent. He's been ensnared in a conspiracy spanning the entire department." The judge's decision to convene an emergency hearing reverberated throughout the precinct, creating a palpable tension among the officers. Murmurs filled the corridors, with the atmosphere thickening as suspicion mounted. Officers who had previously testified against Alex now found themselves uneasy, aware that their roles might be scrutinized. In his cell, Alex was summoned unexpectedly. As he emerged, he was met with the unfolding chaos stemming from the reopened case. He was quickly presented with documents from an old investigation into organized crime, long suppressed and forgotten. The pages were yellowed with age, and Alex's eyes widened in disbelief as he thumbed through the dossier. "Look at this," he pointed out, tapping on a name that repeatedly surfaced in the documents. "This could be the missing link," Anna responded, her expression shifting to one of sudden clarity. Alex's pulse quickened as he pieced together the connections between the buried investigation and the current corruption scandal within the department. This newfound link might just be the key to dismantling the entire corrupt network. "Max, good boy," Alex praised, patting the dog affectionately. The atmosphere in the room shifted from uncertainty to a guarded optimism. The discovery was a turning point. Yet everyone was acutely aware of the risks. Delving deeper into this investigation would expose them to significant dangers, given the powerful figures implicated. Their next steps needed to be cautious yet decisive. "We must be cautious," Alex cautioned, his thoughts teeming with plans. Revealing this too early might alert them. Anna's face held a grave look as she agreed. "Let's meticulously review these documents and uncover the links before we attract any scrutiny." As they sifted through the aged case files, it dawned on them that they had stumbled upon a trove of proof. Each name and datum were parts of a bigger scheme, sketching the contours of a compromised system ready to shield itself at all costs. A resolve took root in Alex at that instant. This quest was no longer solely about his own liberation. It was a battle for justice for everyone impacted by these wrongdoings. He looked over at Max, whose presence reassured him of the lingering righteousness in the world. Side by side, they were determined to unearth the truth, whatever the sacrifice might be. The case, previously thought closed, came alive again. 5 years earlier, an operation to crack down on drugs was declared a total success with numerous arrests. Yet, as Alex reviewed the papers, he spotted evident discrepancies. Names had vanished, and parts of the reports were obscured. "This doesn't add up," Alex whispered. "These alterations aren't typical redactions. Someone tampered with these documents." Anna peered over his shoulder. "Check this out," she urged, pointing at a scribbled note on one of the pages. It bore Captain Parker's signature. The drug raid had seemed flawless, yet the contents of this box hinted that it was merely a facade, a ploy to eliminate competition in the drug market while protecting certain criminals who were bribing the police. Alex's hands balled into fists. "They were double-dealing," he growled, his voice tinged with fury, "and they destroyed honest officers' careers in the process." As they kept poring over the files, Alex's phone vibrated. A message from an unknown sender appeared. "You're digging too deep. Stop, or you'll regret it." He paused, holding the phone out to Anna after a tense moment. She gazed back at him, her complexion ashen yet resolute. "They're frightened," she declared. "That means we're on the right track." Alex looked over at Max, who remained composed at his side as if braced for any challenge. "Let them try," he stated firmly. "We won't back down now." Staring again at the message on his phone. "You're digging too deep. Stop, or you'll regret it." Alex felt a shiver of apprehension. It was no longer just an ambiguous caution. It was an explicit threat. He showed it to Anna, who leaned forward over the table, her face stern. "This is deliberate," she whispered. "They're aware of our investigation. They've been monitoring us." Her statement resonated with a grim significance as the room emptied, leaving only Alex and Anna, steadfast in their resolve to crack the case. Max lay at Alex's feet, occasionally twitching his ears in his slumber. "We're nearly there, yet something critical is still elusive," Anna commented, rifling through the papers. She gestured towards a document Alex had overlooked. "Look here. All major bribes and doctored reports lead to one acronym, AR. They're orchestrating it all." Alex fixed his gaze on the initials. "AR," he echoed thoughtfully. "They've managed to remain concealed till now, but uncovering them could topple the entire scheme." Suddenly, Max stood, his posture rigid, ears perked, emitting a low growl. Alex glanced at him, concerned. "What is it, boy?" he queried. Before Anna could respond, the lights in the conference room flickered off, engulfing them in darkness. Anna's hand moved reflexively to her sidearm. "This isn't just a blackout," she stated, her tone calm but firm. The sound of shattering glass pierced the quiet, soon followed by the distinct thump of footsteps approaching the door. Alex's pulse quickened as the rush of adrenaline flooded through him. He signaled Anna to find cover. "Someone's here," he murmured. Max hunkered down, his growls growing fiercer, eyes locked on the entryway. It was clear now that the threat from the text message was all too real. They were here to halt their investigation. The sound of approaching footsteps intensified. Alex clutched his weapon, his thoughts spinning with potential scenarios. "Stay close, Max," he whispered to his loyal companion. Anna met his gaze, her face set with determination. "No matter what," she declared, "we can't let them prevail." As the door slowly swung open, Max sprang into action, his instincts honed and ready. Alex aimed carefully, ready to confront whatever threat was about to emerge. They were under siege, and the battle to unveil the truth was now a matter of life and death. The door flew open abruptly, unleashing turmoil. A shadowy figure stepped forward, gun in hand. Before anyone could react, Max darted forward with astounding speed, his jaws snapping shut on the assailant's arm. The intruder howled in pain, his weapon clattering to the floor as he struggled to free himself from Max's grip. Alex didn't hesitate. He kicked the gun aside and aimed his own at the next figure dashing through the door. "Don't move!" he bellowed, slicing through the tumult. The newcomer halted, hands raised, but the tenseness in their posture hinted at a readiness to react. Behind him, Anna had sought shelter and was urgently yet calmly requesting reinforcements over her radio. Max maintained a tight grip on the first assailant, who was growling softly in distress. "Call him off," the man pleaded in a panic. With unwavering resolve, Alex advanced, his firearm poised. "Call them off first," he retorted, gesturing toward the accomplices outside. The sound of more footsteps, heavy and purposeful, reverberated in the corridor. It was clear these intruders weren't here to parley. The man remained silent, and before Alex could interrogate further, another thunderous noise erupted. Tear gas canisters hurled into the room. Soon, a pungent, biting smoke began to engulf them, burning their eyes and throats. "We're out of time!" Anna shouted, seizing the documents they'd been analyzing. "We need to move now!" Alex gave a sharp whistle, and Max instantly let go of the man's arm, retreating to Alex's side. The team hurried, staying low to dodge the enveloping gas as they made for the emergency exit at the room's rear. Gunshots rang out behind them, with bullets ricocheting off the walls and furniture. Alex's heartbeat thundered in his ears as he shielded Anna and Max, returning fire to delay their chasers. They burst into the dark alleyway behind the building. Anna held the files tight against her chest, struggling for breath. "We can't head back to the precinct," she gasped. "They've compromised it all. They'll be waiting for us." Alex nodded in agreement, his thoughts racing. Whoever was behind ARC, they meant serious business. Yet, as he glanced at Max, who stood by his side, breathing heavily yet steadfast, a wave of determination washed over him. "Then we end this on our terms," he declared. "No more running." The safe house was unsettlingly silent. After a narrow escape from the attack at the precinct, Alex, Anna, and Max had taken refuge in a small cabin tucked deep within the forest. The wooden table before them was strewn with the files Anna had rescued. They were the key to dismantling the network, containing transaction records, names, and connections to ARC, the elusive mastermind. Anna leafed through the documents, her fingers quivering slightly. "This is it," she declared. "If we can get these to the media or the feds, there's no way they can hide it. Their whole operation will collapse." Alex agreed with a nod but kept his gaze on the window, eyeing the tree line. He felt certain the danger hadn't passed. Those who had attacked them would relentlessly seek to silence them. Suddenly, Max perked up, growling softly, his muscles tensing. Alex stiffened, his hand subconsciously reaching for his gun. "They found us," he murmured. Anna lifted her eyes, her expression pale yet resolute. "How? We've been so cautious." Alex just shook his head. "It doesn't matter now. They're here." The first gunshot ripped through the eerie quiet, a bullet piercing the cabin's window. Glass scattered everywhere as Alex quickly pushed Anna behind the table for shelter. Max barked aggressively, ready at Alex's side. More gunfire followed, with the assailants drawing closer. Taking a deep breath, his body surging with adrenaline, Alex instructed, "Stay down," to Anna. "Max and I will handle them." Together, Alex and Max coordinated seamlessly as the front door was breached. Alex shot, dropping one assailant while Max charged another, clamping down with his formidable jaws to tackle the man to the floor. Yet, the assailants continued their onslaught. Amidst the chaos, Anna scrambled to the files, seizing the most critical documents and shoving them into a bag. "Alex!" she yelled, her voice cutting through the sound of gunfire. "We have to get these out now." Alex gave a grim nod. "Go. Max and I will cover you," he declared, ready to defend so Anna could escape with the vital information. Anna paused for just a moment before darting through the back door, vanishing into the night with the critical documents clutched tightly. Meanwhile, Alex and Max valiantly defended their position, repelling the assailants with relentless determination. As they subdued the final attacker, the distant sound of sirens filled the air. Reinforcements were on their way. In the days that followed, the story erupted across the nation. Anna had handed the files over to a reliable journalist, leading to a sweeping exposé that dismantled the entire corrupt network. Arrests were made at all ranks, implicating everyone from crooked officers to Ark himself, unmasked as a high-ranking local politician who had corrupted the police force for his own schemes. Though celebrated as a hero, Alex remained modest, deflecting the praise. Standing on his home's porch, he watched as Max frolicked in the yard. The faithful dog had been his savior on numerous occasions, solidifying a bond that nothing could break. "We did it, boy," Alex murmured, bending down to pat Max affectionately behind the ears. "It's over." Max's tail wagged, his body pressing into Alex's comforting hand, his alert eyes showing peace for the first time in weeks. For Alex, this was more than just the conclusion of a conflict. It marked the beginning of a new chapter. He had championed justice, not solely for himself, but for those who had been muted and betrayed. Watching Max joyfully chase a ball in the soft glow of the setting sun, Alex felt a profound sense of peace. They truly deserved this moment. What a remarkable tale, isn't it? If it moved you, go ahead and send a super sticker. Just click the icon below the video, choose your favorite sticker, decide on the amount, and confirm your support. It helps us bring you more heartfelt stories. Thank you for joining us.